There are two types of people moving through the world right now, and the scary part is they look exactly the same. They speak the same language, wear the same clothes, and follow the same routines. But beneath the surface, one is unaware, and the other is calculating, watching, waiting, and choosing the perfect moment to act. The unaware person reacts. The strategic one decides. Once you truly understand this difference, your life starts to change. You stop living like everyone else. You stop being controlled by forces you never questioned. You stop wondering why some people always seem to win while others stay stuck in the same cycles, blaming luck, timing, or anything else. Because the truth is uncomfortable. Winning is not random. It is designed. And the people who design it think differently at a deep level. They don't chase opportunities. They place themselves where opportunities are forced to come to them. They don't waste energy trying to prove themselves. They protect it, sharpen it, and use it only when it creates maximum impact. They don't reveal their intentions. In fact, the less you understand them, the more control they have. This is not about being ruthless for no reason. It's about understanding the game that has always existed, whether you see it or not. Ignoring the game doesn't remove you from it. It just makes sure you lose. The first change starts in your thinking. Most people think in simple, straight lines. Action leads to reaction. Effort leads to reward. They believe if they work hard, stay honest, and remain consistent, success will come. But a strategic mind thinks in layers. Every action has a visible result and a hidden effect. Every word has meaning and intention behind that meaning. Every situation has what is happening now and what it is quietly setting up for the future. When someone praises you, ask yourself, what do they gain from it? When someone criticizes you, ask, what are they trying to change in me? When someone offers help, think, what position does this put them in compared to me? A strategic person does not take things at face value. This doesn't make them paranoid, it makes them precise. They expect complexity, so they are not surprised by it. Most people fail here without even realizing it. They react to what they see. They argue over words instead of understanding intentions. They chase goals without asking who really benefits from them. They spend time and energy on paths that were never meant for them to win. But a strategic thinker steps back. They don't rush to react, because reaction often means losing control. Instead, they observe patterns in behavior, timing, and results. Because patterns show the truth more clearly than words ever can. If someone only shows up when they need something, that's a pattern. If someone disappears when things get hard, that's a pattern. If your effort always meets resistance instead of progress, that's a pattern. When you start seeing patterns, you stop asking emotional questions like, why is this happening to me? Instead, you ask smarter questions like, what does this pattern reward? And how can I use it or avoid it? That shift alone separates people who drift through life from those who begin to shape it. But thinking differently is just the beginning. Because thinking without control becomes overthinking. Real power comes from restraint. A strategic person doesn't chase everything. They don't react to every movement, every sound, every opportunity. They wait. Not because they are inactive, but because they understand that timing is more powerful than speed. Most people are addicted to constant movement. They feel uneasy when they are not doing something. They feel left behind if their progress is not visible. They are afraid of stillness because it feels like failure. But stillness is where real control is built. When you can stay still while everyone else is rushing, you gain a level of clarity they will never reach. You begin to notice opportunities they miss. You see the traps they walk into without thinking. And more importantly, you make the world reveal itself to you. Because when you don't react immediately, people start showing more than they planned. They talk longer, explain more, contradict themselves, and expose their weaknesses. Silence is not empty. It creates pressure, and most people cannot handle that pressure. They rush to fill it. They try to justify themselves. They try to prove something. They try to take back control. But every word they speak in that moment gives you more information. And information is leverage. Leverage is how you win without draining yourself. This is why a strategic thinker never shows everything they know. They don't correct every misunderstanding. They don't clarify every assumption. They don't rush to display their full ability. Because the moment people fully understand you, they can prepare against you. Unpredictability becomes power, not random chaos, but controlled unpredictability. You allow people to have incomplete views of you. In some areas, they underestimate you. In others, they overestimate you. You create uncertainty, and inside that uncertainty, you move freely. This doesn't mean being fake. It means being selective. You don't owe everyone full transparency. You owe yourself effectiveness. And effectiveness requires discipline over your impulses, the urge to speak, the urge to react, the urge to prove yourself. These impulses make people easy to control. Because once someone knows what triggers you, they can predict your behavior. And once they can predict you, they can influence the outcome before you even act. But when you control your responses, you take that power away from them. You become harder to read, harder to influence, and harder to defeat. This is where real strategic action begins. Most people act to express how they feel. A strategic person acts to create results. That difference changes everything. Before taking any action, there is one important question. What does this move actually achieve? Not emotionally, not morally, strategically. Does it improve your position? Does it strengthen your influence? Does it open future opportunities? Does it weaken opposition without exposing you? If the answer is not clear, the action is too early. Because every move has a cost: your time, your energy, your focus. When you waste these on actions that don't create meaningful results, you stay stuck, even while feeling busy. Being busy often hides inefficiency. A strategic person saves their energy, not out of laziness, but out of precision. They act less often, but when they act, it has impact. And when you start living like this, something uncomfortable begins to happen. You start seeing the game everywhere, in conversations, in relationships, in work, in ambition. You realize that most people are not trying to win. They are trying to feel safe, to be accepted, to avoid conflict, and to protect an image. And that realization changes how you see everything.
That's why most people lose. Because the world does not reward good intentions. It rewards execution. It does not reward honesty by itself. It rewards effectiveness, combined with awareness. And this is the part people avoid the most, because it forces them to face a hard truth they've been ignoring for a long time. Being good is not enough. Being hardworking is not enough. Being patient is not enough. Without strategy, these qualities can actually work against you. They can make you easy to predict, easy to use, and easy to replace. But when you combine these traits with strategic thinking, controlled action, and careful restraint, they turn into something powerful, tools that don't look like tools, which is exactly why they are effective. Before we go further, if this is making sense to you, take a moment to like. And if you want more content like this, make sure you're subscribed. Now let's continue. Most people never realize the exact moment they lose control, because it doesn't feel like losing. It feels comfortable. It feels like doing what's expected. It feels like saying yes because it's easier than saying no. It feels like explaining yourself so others don't misunderstand you. It feels like trying to prove your value so you don't get ignored. And that's exactly how control is taken away from you, not by force, but through small, quiet adjustments. You slowly start changing yourself to fit expectations that were never created for you to succeed. You begin to play roles that make you predictable. You start making decisions based on how they will look to others, instead of what results they will actually create. And slowly, without even noticing, your actions stop being strategic and start becoming reactive. A strategic thinker sees this shift clearly and refuses to fall into it. They understand that the moment your actions are driven by external validation, you are no longer in control. You are being guided, shaped, and eventually used. So they create distance, not in a cold or emotionless way, but in a controlled, intentional way. They remove the need to be liked by everyone. They remove the need to be understood by everyone. They stop chasing approval from people who have no real influence over their outcomes, because approval is one of the most expensive things you can chase. It costs your time, it costs your authenticity, it costs your focus, and worst of all, it shifts your attention away from what actually matters. A strategic person does not chase approval, they build position, and position changes everything. Position decides what opportunities you notice, what opportunities come to you, and what opportunities you are able to create. It shapes how people see you before you even speak. It affects how much resistance you face when you take action. Most people focus only on effort, but strategic people focus on position, because effort without the right position is exhausting. You can work non-stop, push yourself constantly, and still remain unnoticed if you are in the wrong place. You can be highly skilled and still be ignored if you are surrounded by people who don't recognize or value your ability. But when your position is right, even small actions can create big results. So how do you build strong position? You stop thinking only about what you want to do and start thinking about where each action will place you. Every decision does one of three things. It raises your position, keeps it the same, or lowers it. Who you spend time with matters, not because of status, but because of influence. The people around you shape what feels normal, what you aim for, and what you accept. What you say yes to matters. Every commitment is a trade. You are exchanging your time and energy for a possible outcome. If that outcome doesn't move you forward, you are losing ground. What you allow also matters. The behavior you accept from others defines your environment, and your environment either sharpens you or weakens you. A strategic person manages all of this on purpose. They don't randomly fall into environments, they choose them. They don't simply accept situations, they shape them. And when they cannot shape them, they leave. Because staying in a losing position is still a choice, whether you admit it or not. This is where your actions begin to separate you from others. You start saying no more often, not out of ego, but out of clarity. You stop over-explaining your decisions because explaining too much invites negotiation. You begin to understand that not every opportunity is worth taking and not every connection is worth keeping. And this creates friction. People will question you, they may misunderstand your intentions, they may project their own insecurities onto your actions. But that is part of the process, because when you stop being easy to control, the people who benefited from your compliance will resist, and that resistance gives you valuable information. It shows you where you were being used, where your boundaries were weak, and where your value was not respected. A strategic thinker does not avoid resistance, they study it, because resistance shows pressure points, and pressure points reveal leverage. Leverage is not about force, it is about advantage. It is about knowing where a small action can create a big change. In conversations, leverage can be silence, letting the other person talk more, reveal more, and commit before you do. In negotiation, leverage can be patience, the ability to walk away when something doesn't serve you, forcing the other side to rethink. In competition, leverage can be misdirection, letting others focus on the wrong things while you move toward the real goal. This is how you begin to win without appearing aggressive. Because the most effective moves are often unnoticed until it's too late. And this leads to one of the most misunderstood ideas in strategic thinking. This is why a strategic thinker controls not only their actions but also how others see those actions. Perception itself is a battlefield, and most people walk into it unprepared. They reveal too much too early. They share every thought, every plan, every intention. They believe being fully open builds trust, but in reality, uncontrolled transparency creates weakness, because once your intentions are clear, they can be blocked. Once your weaknesses are visible, they can be used against you. Once your strategy is known, it can be disrupted. So instead, you learn to manage perception carefully. You show what is useful, you hide what is critical. You let others form conclusions that support your position, even if those conclusions are incomplete. This is not about manipulation for no reason. It is about protecting your advantage, because the world does not run on perfect fairness. It runs on awareness, positioning, and execution. And those who understand this don't waste time wishing things were different. They adjust to it. They learn it. They use it. At this stage, something changes inside you. You stop labeling situations as simply good or bad, fair or unfair. You start asking whether they are useful or not useful. You create distance from emotional reactions that cloud your thinking. You begin to notice when your ego is pushing you to act too quickly, to prove something or respond to something that doesn't really matter. And you choose to let it go, because reacting to everything is the fastest way to lose control. Not every problem deserves your attention. Not every attack deserves your response. Not every opportunity deserves your energy. Discernment becomes your filter. And this is where most people struggle, because it requires patience, it requires restraint, it requires the ability to stay calm in uncertainty without rushing to fix it. But once you build that ability, you gain something rare: clarity under pressure. While others react emotionally, you stay calm and observe. While others rush into decisions, you think through outcomes. While others try to fix their mistakes, you avoid many of them from the start. Over time, this builds up. Your decisions become sharper, your actions become more effective, your presence becomes more controlled. You start to notice that situations respond differently around you. Opportunities appear more often. Obstacles become easier to handle. People react to you with a different level of awareness, even if they can't explain why. Because you are no longer operating like everyone else. You are no longer predictable. You are no longer reactive. You are no longer easy to control. And this is when the final shift begins. Not just thinking differently, not just acting differently, but becoming someone who quietly reshapes the game instead of just playing it. At a certain point, the world stops looking random and starts looking structured. Not an obvious structure that everyone can see, but a hidden system made of incentives, fears, desires, and blind spots. Once you see this, you stop trying to fight everything directly. You start designing your moves within that system. This is where most people hesitate, because it means letting go of comfortable beliefs. The belief that hard work alone guarantees success. The belief that fairness decides outcomes. The belief that good intentions matter more than results. A strategic thinker lets go of these beliefs, not out of negativity, but out of focus on reality, because reality does not care about what should happen. It responds only to what is done correctly, consistently, and at the right time. This is where winning starts to feel inevitable, not because of luck, but because you are aligned with how results are actually created. And that alignment begins with one powerful shift. You stop playing visible games and you start playing invisible ones. Visible games are what most people are stuck in, fighting for attention, arguing over opinions, chasing recognition, trying to outwork others in areas where effort can easily be replaced. Invisible games are different. They are about access, positioning, timing, and influence. They are about being in the right places before others even realize those places exist. They are about shaping decisions before they are publicly made. They are about placing yourself so well that outcomes start forming around you with little resistance. And this is what makes it powerful. The people winning these games don't look like they are trying, because their effort is not spread everywhere. It is focused. They don't waste energy on things that don't matter. They put it only where it grows over time. And growth over time is where real power is built. One good decision will not change your life, but a series of strategic decisions made consistently starts to build on itself in ways that become impossible to ignore. One connection leads to another. One opportunity opens the door to a bigger one. One strong position gives access to even higher positions. And suddenly what looks like luck from the outside is actually the result of quiet, careful, and consistent decisions over time. But this requires a level of discipline that most people never build. The discipline to think long-term while still acting with precision in the present. Most people fall into one of two extremes. Either they chase quick results, giving up future advantage for short-term satisfaction, or they spend too much time planning and never act strongly enough to create real movement. A strategic thinker balances both. They see the long-term clearly, but they break it down into actions they can take right now with precision. Every move connects to a larger plan. Every action serves a bigger result. Nothing is random. This creates a strong sense of direction, something most people never experience, because most people are always reacting, always adjusting, always being pulled in different directions by outside forces. But when you act strategically, your direction comes from within. You are not being pulled, you are choosing, and that choice becomes sharper over time. You begin to recognize valuable opportunities faster. You start avoiding low-value paths without needing to think too much about it. You see distractions before they take your attention, because distractions are not random. They are designed to take your focus away from what truly matters, designed to keep you busy, entertained, and emotionally involved in things that don't move you forward. A strategic person treats attention like a powerful tool. They don't give it away easily, they invest it carefully, because where your attention goes, your results follow. If your attention is scattered, your results will be scattered. If your attention is focused, your results begin to align. This is why control over your mind is the base of everything. If you cannot control your focus, you cannot control what you build. And if you cannot control what you build, you cannot control where your life goes. So you begin to protect your attention seriously. You choose carefully what you consume. You limit what you engage with. You become selective about what deserves your mental energy, not because you are avoiding the world, but because you are choosing how to interact with it. And this choice gives you an advantage that is quiet, but very real. While others feel overwhelmed, you stay clear. While others are distracted, you stay focused. While others react, you take action. And over time, this difference becomes obvious. But there is one final element that turns strategy into real power: the ability to act quickly and decisively when the moment comes, because all the planning, all the positioning, and all the patience mean nothing if you hesitate at the critical moment. A strategic person does not doubt themselves when it's time to act. They have already done the thinking, they have already studied the risks, understood the outcomes, and prepared for resistance. So when the opportunity appears, they move without hesitation, and that speed, combined with precision, creates a strong advantage. Most people miss opportunities not because they lack ability, but because they hesitate. They doubt, they wait for confirmation, and by the time they feel ready, the moment is already gone. They search for certainty in situations where certainty doesn't exist, and in that hesitation, the moment slips away. But when you trust your preparation, when you trust your thinking, you don't need perfect certainty. You only need enough clarity to move forward. And once you have that, you act, not carelessly, but with confidence and decision. Because hesitation is often more harmful than making an imperfect move. An imperfect action taken at the right time is usually more powerful than a perfect action taken too late. This is how momentum begins. And momentum changes everything. When you start acting consistently, when your actions begin to create real results, when your position starts getting stronger, you build a cycle that keeps growing. Success brings access. Access brings opportunity. Opportunity creates more success. And once this cycle starts, it becomes hard to stop. But it only begins when you stop thinking like everyone else, when you stop acting like everyone else, when you stop chasing validation, comfort, and approval, and start focusing on clarity, position, and control. This is not about becoming a different person. It's about removing the things that make you predictable, easy to control, and limited. It's about sharpening your awareness so you can see what others miss. It's about refining your actions so you waste no effort. It's about building a presence that doesn't need attention to be powerful, because the most powerful people are rarely the loudest. They are the ones who understand what is really happening, what needs to be done, and the right time to do it. They don't rush, they don't panic, they don't reveal more than necessary. They observe, they think, they position themselves, and when the moment arrives, they act and they win.